It's that time, Rotarians. I waited until 12:01 because the energy in the room was so good, but I know we got to get started, so I'm calling the meeting to order. Welcome to the July 25th, 2024 meeting of the Rotary Club of Louisville. I'm Lori Flannery, the president of the club and a Paul Harris Fellow. I want to thank you all for making sure your phones are silent for the remainder of this next hour. And I would like to welcome to the front of the room Corey Miller, the executive director of the Cabbage Patch Settlement School, to provide today's invocation.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we gather here today as members of the Rotary Club, united in our commitment to service above self and the betterment of our community. We thank you for bringing us together and for this fellowship that we share. And today we're honored to have professional wrestling's Al Snow as our featured guest, a person who exemplifies dedication, perseverance, and the spirit of competition. In the world of wrestling, just as in our own lives, we see the importance of hard work, resilience, and the courage to face challenges head on. Wrestling teaches us the value of strength, not just physical strength, but the strength of character. It shows us that true champions are those who lift others up, who fight for what is right, and who never give up, no matter how tough the battle. As Rotarians, we too strive to be champions in our community. We work to lift up others, to serve with integrity, and to persevere in our efforts to create a better world. Let us draw inspiration from our guest's journey and apply those lessons to our mission of service. And God, we ask that your blessing on our gathering today guide our discussions, inspire our actions, and help us to continue making a positive impact in the lives of those we serve. It's in your holy name that I pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Corey. And now to lead us in the pledge and the four-way test, I want to welcome Tanya Shive-Augustine, one of our Rotary Leadership Fellows and Director of Strategic Marketing and Communications at U of L's School of Medicine.
Hello, everyone. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the four-way test.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tanya. Now we're going to introduce our guests. So Rotarians will come to this microphone right here. Please introduce yourself first, and then introduce your guest with their title and organizational affiliation if they have any. And guests, when you hear your name, if you'll please stand so the other club members can see you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. Alyssa Gray, I'm the president and CEO of the Kentucky Humane Society, and my guest is my husband, Josh Gray, and he is a learning differences specialist at Assumption High School.
Hello, President Lori, Tom Crimmins. My guest today is my longtime friend, Mike Wolf. Mike is a long-time business guy. He's doing some business consulting now, and like a lot of us, just trying to figure out what he's doing with the rest of his life.
Welcome.
President Boyd, my guest today is Dr. Coy Steele, Senior Pastor at Walnut Street Baptist Church.
Welcome.
And I have another one.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Celine?
Good afternoon, everybody. Dylan Taylor, Executive Director of the club, and I'm excited to introduce my guest today,
Tiandra Robinson. She is the marketing maven. She is the owner of Team Marie Consulting. She spent many years as a college counselor, right? And just recently went out on her own to ramp up her business that she's been working on the side for a while. So we're excited to have her. Thank you for being with us.
Welcome. So Craig Sherman. Is Craig here with us today? I think
Jay will step.
Okay, so Jay. So Jay, if you don't mind just to stand up so people know. Guests, if you would please go to the What is Rotary table. There's a sign on that table to my right over here in the corner for just a few minutes. At the end of today's meeting, Jay will help give you an idea about what Rotary is all about. So thank you for doing that. Okay, we have several Rotarians who have been in the spotlight recently. We want to congratulate Charlie Todd, who was named Director of Membership for the 2024-25 Young Professionals Association of Louisville, also known as YPOW, for the Board of Directors. So congratulations to Charlie. We also want to congratulate Eric Gurovich and Ann Monell on being named to the 2025 class of Leadership Louisville. And our club was in the spotlight yesterday at the Salvation Army's Volunteers Doing the Most Good Awards Luncheon for our Battle of the Bells campaign with the Kiwanis Club. Our club raised over $8,500. That was very good. That was over 3 Saturdays. We do have to give a shout out to the LaGrange Club. They raised over $13,000, so we will have maybe to do a little bit better next year, even though we did great this year. And the Kiwanis Club won the Battle of the Bells again with a total of $14,322. We do also want to note that our President-elect Ken Salvaggi and his organization ESPN of Louisville also received an award yesterday. So great job everybody for that. Okay, well our club has partnered for a number of years now with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. So far we have helped over 20,000 children in the Louisville area under the age of 5, so pre-kindergarten, receive a book each and every month to their home address. If you want to help enroll more children, you have 2 volunteer opportunities coming up. One of them is on Sunday, August 4th, from 11 to 2 at St. Stephen's Church. And the second one is Saturday, September 14th, also from 10 to 2 at the Kentucky Science Center. You would be paired with a board member of the Imagination Library to help you in doing that, but it would be very much appreciated, and it is something that the club is really, really proud that we put into place a couple of years ago, helping these kids get ready for school and at the right age to do that. If you have any questions about the Imagination Library volunteer activity, you would want to contact Ken Salvaggi, our president-elect, or Rick Harnett. Our next service project where we will be sorting supplies for SOS will be Tuesday, August 13th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And this is a special project where we're really trying to use it as an orientation project for a lot of our new members to the club. And so if you were to help out at that particular volunteer opportunity, you also would be helping as part of the orientation process for our club and getting to know these new Rotarians early in their service. Our next Rotary Business Synergy event is going to be Tuesday, August 20th, also from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. It's going to be at the Humane Society location on Linden Lane. This is a free event, and our hosts will be providing bites, beverages, and furry friends. And they are asking if you would please bring a friend or 2 to make that Business Synergy event a lot of fun. I'm actually excited because the Humane Society is also going to be hosting our August board meeting. Independence Bank hosted our first board meeting this week at their location in St. Matthews in this beautiful bank facility that's fairly new. And Humane Society will be doing it for us in August. So I want to thank both Louis Straub and Alyssa Gray for that. But we've also been promised puppies. So very much looking forward to our August board meeting. Another exciting thing happened today is that we are welcoming a new refugee family today. So Larry Sloan and a group of about 10 Rotarians who would be here for lunch are actually at the airport welcoming this Syrian family of 8 who has been sheltering in Lebanon waiting to be resettled. So we're welcoming them to Louisville today. Mary Ellen Harnett has spent the last few weeks collecting donations, gift cards, cash. And so if you are interested in helping to welcome this family to our Louisville community, please get in touch with Mary Ellen Harnett. One of the special things about our club, one of the things I love about it, and I know you do too, is the sheer number of people who have had significant service with Rotary and with this club. We actually, Delene did the math, and we have 61 current members who have been serving with us for more than 25 years. Quite an accomplishment, we thank you. So several of them are here with us today, and we're going to be getting special membership pins. Now, if you've watched, this is my 3rd meeting as president, if you've watched me so far, you know I do not have any talent with putting a pin on anyone. And so when I say your name, if you'll come up, I will give you your special membership pin, but please do not expect me to affix it to your clothing, because that will not happen. But we're gonna recognize 5 people today. We have not been very consistent. You know, COVID, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened over the last few years. But we have not been consistent in making sure we recognize these people. And so over this next year, we're gonna play a little bit of catch up. So today, anyone who's reached a 25-year milestone will get a 25-year pin, and anybody with 30 years or more will get a 30-year pin. 2 members today have been with us for between 25 and 30 years, so they'll get that 25-year pin. So we are so grateful to you and thrilled to present this symbol of your dedication. First, we have David Dick, who joined Rotary in August of 1998.
You would stay up here, so I want to picture.
That makes sense. And the second 25-year pin goes to Tyler Allen, who joined in October of 1996. So 3 people here today. Bonding over length of service. 3 people here today have been members of our club for between 30 and 40 years. What a service commitment to service above self. You've made a tremendous impact on the club and our community. There's no doubt in my mind. The first one is Terry Tyler, who joined in February of 1991. These guys. The second one for the 30 years and more is Jeff Underhill, who joined in April of 1986. Watch out for hugs, right? No, that's right. Jeff was in kindergarten. He also has just stepped up to be the chair of our Social Activities Committee, so look to him for being able to provide us some fun for our club over this next year. And then the third one is Roland Blahnik, who joined in June of 1985.
All right, y'all scoot over that way a little bit towards Lori.
He's playing. All right. Quite an achievement. I would like to invite Kurt Jacobs, creator and host of Moxie Talk with Kurt Jacobs, and Vice Chair of the Speakers Committee to the podium to introduce today's speaker.
When I used to be a childhood fan of global wrestling, and those of you of a certain era before the internet, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I am truly excited to have our guest here today and how his schedule and Rotary's aligned to have him. Because you see, like I said, long before Vince McMahon and WWE SmackDowns and the like, yours truly was a childhood fan of the likes of Jerry the King Lawler, Coco Ware, the manager Jimmy Hart, and MCs Lance Russell and Dave Brown every Saturday morning in the late 1970s and the early 1980s. So this is a true treat for me. Not to mention, he was gracious enough to give up his valuable time to be our 431st guest on our Moxie Talk with Kurt Jacobs program back in February of 2024. Now, for his bio, he's a retired professional wrestler and trainer and co-owner of Ohio Valley Wrestling, or OVW as many call it. He is a native of Lima, Ohio, and wrestled in his first match in 1982 at the age of just 18, and has been involved in the wrestling industry ever since, reaching the pinnacle of sports entertainment by becoming a WWE superstar that spanned some 13 years. He then did 4 seasons as head trainer on MTV's WWE reality TV series called Tough Enough. And after his 2008 WWE departure, Al went to work for Impact TNA promotion for nearly a decade, holding various roles within that company. However, like any high achiever, when his in-ring wrestling ended for Al, he knew he wasn't ready to leave the industry. So in the summer of 2018, what do? You purchase Ohio Valley Wrestling, or OVW, from the founder and wrestling legend Danny Davis. And what some of you may not know, some of the acting careers and wrestling stars that launched from OVW were John Cena and Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista's the green dude in Guardians of the Galaxy. Today, OVW has investors with familiar names such as Louisville Metro Mayor Craig Greenberg, Matt Jones of Kentucky Sports Radio, Larry Benz, and Joe Reeves, to name a few. And they began rebuilding OVW back to the prominence it has today in the wrestling world. Not to mention, as if he doesn't have enough to do, he then launched the Al Snow Wrestling Academy due to his passion and focus on developing future wrestling stars. But I'm going to embarrass my son, who's a guest here today. All of this was made possible because back in September of last year, a documentary came on Netflix called Wrestlers, and we turned it on. And I'll be honest, I have a very high standard because I'm a passionate wrestling fanatic, kind of like the mayor. And I didn't think it was going to be any good, and we were mesmerized. So it's still on there. I'm going to do a shameless plug for Al in that show. It is very well done. Grab your favorite beverage, 7 episodes, and it makes Louisville look pretty good. So he dared me, my son, wave at the crowd, do your best Queen Elizabeth. There you go. He's not like me, he doesn't like to talk. So he dared me, he said, can you get him on your program? I said, yes. And so with that, here he is today. But here's the funny, as we were preparing for this presentation, Al and I, he told me that, I've spoken to literally hundreds of thousands of people over my lengthy career, but I'm almost always in my underwear and dripping with sweat. So being in an air-conditioned room speaking to such an esteemed group as Rotary with all my clothes on is a real treat for me. With that, I give you Al Snow.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you very much. And yeah, this is a little unusual. I've literally been live on television speaking to millions of people around the world in my underwear. And I'm more nervous to address all of you today. I have to first and foremost say that I'm flattered and honored that you invited me to speak, and I can't thank you all enough. Hopefully I'll be interesting. If I'm not, you've got your food there, you can start throwing it away. Get me off stage.
You can pull it off if you want to hold it.
Oh yeah, I'm used to that a little bit more. I've been a professional wrestler for 42 years now. When I first addressed my mother and told her that I wanted to be a professional wrestler, she remarked that she thought I was trying to kill her. It's been awesome. I've been blessed to be able to do what I love to do, which is basically to fake fight other men in my underwear for money around the world. Professional wrestling, I know a lot of people malign it as a form of entertainment, assume that it's just the common man's entertainment, but I can assure you I've met people from all walks of life, from people that are deans of colleges and professors to the common everyday working person, and from 2 to 200 that all find something to identify with and enjoy. Professional wrestling has literally been a form of entertainment here just in the United States alone for well over a century now. What you see today originally started back in the late 1800s with the circuses and carnivals, evolved from that point forward to be a part of vaudeville, and then to a point in the late 20s and early 30s where it started developing into where they ran arenas and weekly or monthly events which attracted thousands of people over decades. And to where they, even now, WrestleMania is competed for as an event by cities on the level of what the Olympics are. If you've not been made aware, in Indianapolis, I think this coming year, Indianapolis was awarded 4 major pay-per-view events from WWE, which will be a tremendous boom to their local economy for each one of those events that will take place there. So it's it's a lot more than what the people think. I try to explain that professional wrestling is the art of physical storytelling within the context of a competitive situation. And we try to create that story to add gravitas, to add gravity to the wins and losses and consequences thereof, to allow you to better relate to who the wrestler is, as opposed to what they're doing. Within that, and how it applies to Louisville, I did purchase OVW in 2018, and I bought it because of its reputation. It was known as the Harvard of professional wrestling. We've turned out at least 200 to 250 alumni that have went on to become major stars around the world in professional wrestling. Danny Davis originated OVW, created it, and it's been a part of the Louisville community now for 30 plus years. Professional wrestling has had a very long and storied history with Louisville, dating back all the way to the 1930s with the Allen Athletic Club, where they would run weekly events on a Tuesday night. That evolved into the promotion out of Memphis, Tennessee. Kurt and a couple, I'm sure a lot of you are aware of, Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler and Dutch Mantel, and the favorite that everyone says every time, Tojo Yamamoto. They were a mainstay every single week, every Tuesday night at the Louisville Gardens. And if any of you had ever attended an event there, I mean, let's face it, there were some incredibly magical moments that took place there in Louisville. I'm trying my best to continue to uphold that tradition. With OVW now, we are on every Thursday night at the Davis Arena. It's 4400 Shepherdsville Road. If you guys want to come, just let me know. I don't always carry tickets, but you can be my guest. We do a live television broadcast every Thursday night. We are the only other company besides WWE and AEW that attempt to do a live television broadcast on a weekly basis. Developed and created our training academy, and we are the only wrestling school in the world that is certified as an actual trade school for professional wrestling, sports entertainment, and broadcasting. Young men and women come from all over the world to attend this school, and not only do they learn the physical mechanics of performing within the ring, they also learn how to run live events. They learn how to operate cameras, lighting, sound, editing, financial management, social media management. I teach a history class on professional wrestling there, creative writing. So we try to give them as many skills as we can, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when their in-ring careers are going to come to an end, and they would have skills that would then carry on going forward. We have 2 of our OVW alumni that have done exactly that. One young lady by the name of Jessie Whitney, who became a television producer and now has had a career with major broadcast companies like CBS, NBC, Fox, and has traveled all over the world. And another young man by the name of James Long, who has become an executive producer for WWE and has had a very successful career after his in-ring career. So we're very proud of what we've done in OVW as far as education, and that what we continue to do and what we continue to aspire as far as education is concerned, not just with in-ring wrestling, but also with giving people skills that allow them to really pursue a career on all levels in sports entertainment. We are also, and I'm trying to do this just in a way to kind of familiarize you, because I'm sure there are a lot of you that may not even know that we existed. But with our live television program, when we broadcast on a Thursday night, we reach 100 million plus homes throughout the country, from Canada all the way down to Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Bahamas, and Guam. And that gives exposure to the community of Louisville as well. And we try to be a very good representation of the community, and we always try to work with different charitable organizations to give back as much as we can, because if it's not for the community and for the fans of this community, we wouldn't exist. So I think that's about all I got. So, I mean, I can stand up here and tell you some jokes or something. You can ask questions if you have any. I'm sure some of you might be fascinated to find out how you can also join me in making a living fake finding other people in your underwear for money.
Thank you so much, Al, and thank you, Kurt. Thank you also for introducing him. And I will have to say that you are dead right about the Netflix wrestlers. I watched episode 1 of that last night on Netflix, and I was mesmerized by the human story, right? I mean, that's really what it's all about. It's very entertaining. It's a culture that's new to me, but I don't think I'm going to stop at episode 1. So I'm going to give this back to you. Only Rotarians can ask questions, and if you will, we have some rules associated with that. Please don't go on too long, and please don't ask 8-part questions of our speaker. Thank you.
You can ask me anything you want, because the only dumb question you ask is when you don't ask, so feel free.
So Al, most of the audience wouldn't know this story, and I didn't want to step on it. That's why I didn't mention it in the bio. It's on one of the slides. Tell the story. I don't mean to laugh, because some people might not like this. But tell the story about the doll in Walmart, and why, and what you used to do, and what your character was in the ring.
Sure, yeah. So I had developed a persona, or a character, where I had a nervous breakdown, and I carried a beautician's mannequin head to the ring with me and spoke to it as if it was a real person. I know, don't judge. I was getting canceled before cancel culture was a thing. I've always been ahead of the curve. So a lady who is an assistant professor of communications at a college, Kennesaw State College in Georgia, went to Walmart one day and walked in with her son, and he brought over my action figure. We like to call it an action figure, not a doll, you know what I mean? And it had a Barbie doll head that, he popped off in there. And so she got rather upset and wrote a letter to the Atlanta Constitution saying that, and I quote, that it had a decapitated woman's head in the package, which she thought was a training manual for future spousal abusers. I gotta tell you, if that's gonna inspire you to do something like that, you've got other problems. The Atlanta Constitution printed that letter. I proceeded to become a national news event for a week and a half. I was in Philadelphia at a gym, and I looked up, and on every major news affiliate, the top 3 stories, I'm not making this up, were the mayoral race in Philadelphia, the Bosnian peace process, and that my action figure had been banned from stores nationwide. They did a story about it in Time magazine, Jay Leno referenced it in his stand-up act. David Letterman. It's pretty awesome for about a week and a half. If you want to go check the list, there's about 23 or 24 things that Walmart will not sell to the public for danger to the community. I'm number 5.
Hi, Al. I'm Maggie Harlow. Thanks for being here. Really, really appreciate it. I did get a chance to watch the whole Netflix series. It was fascinating. But I've actually visited an event because my nephew is Amon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's my nephew.
He's a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful guy.
And it's fascinating. You all should definitely visit. I'm just telling you, you should definitely visit. It's beautiful. Great job. I'm curious about how things have changed since the Netflix special the series has it boosted your visibility? Has it changed anything for your business?
Yes, the Netflix visibility was fantastic. Unfortunately, it only lasts a certain period of time, and then you go back to business as usual. But it certainly has boosted attendance for us, increased awareness dramatically, opened up doors like this, an opportunity to meet with everyone and then make everybody even more aware of OVW and what goes on there. But now we got to keep going and just keep utilizing that to use it as a springboard to try to raise the bar and to go even further. So, but it's been awesome.
Hi Al, I'm Eric Gurvich. I did not watch the Netflix documentary, but I did watch you growing up, so it's a bit surreal to see you here. So thank you for being here.
You're getting old when guys 40 years old come on and go, I watched you as a kid.
36.
Thank you. I just guessed this.
Just curious about the talent development when folks are coming in. What are you looking for? Is it the athleticism? Is it the performance? Is it the grit? Can you just talk a little bit about some of the things you see where folks have really been successful moving forward?
I think the biggest thing that I look for is passion. And it doesn't just apply to wrestling. I think if you have a vision and a passion, I genuinely believe, and I know we all hear this and everybody gets that lip service, I really believe you can do anything you want to do. There's no reason you can't. There is no passion and desire and determination will outdo anything else, without a question. Quite honestly, I have no real talent. The only talent I have is I just don't quit. That's all I do, and that's all that's ever carried me through. So I basically grew up in a very small town in the middle of Northwest Ohio where it's known as the ghetto cornfield, if anybody wants to know. And because I made a decision and just didn't quit. I've been to 44 different countries around the world. I've been on every continent other than Antarctica. I've gotten to live an amazing life just because of the fact that I made a decision and decided I wasn't going to stop. So it brought me here today to meet all of you. So it's pretty incredible.
My name is Ken Grossman. Thank you all for coming to speak to us today. I have to say I'm a proud father because my son is one of your fans, and he's in your Netflix documentary.
Oh, is he really?
He's the kid yelling and screaming and getting so pumped.
Awesome.
And he goes with his college buddies to your events, and he has a blast. So they are. I know they're a lot of fun.
Thank you for
He
being
hasn't
a
gotten
fan.
me there yet, though.
You got to come. Be my guest.
So I do have a question. So I know professional wrestling has inspired many others. I guess the most famous story is Muhammad Ali. I think he patterned a lot after a guy by the name of Gorgeous George.
Yes.
But what a lot of people don't know is Bobby Knight's relationship to professional wrestling. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, very much so.
Because I'm obviously a graduate of IU, and I used to watch his show when I was a student, and he would just belittle Chuck Marlowe, would ask him a question. Knight would look at him in the way that only Knight can and say, Chuck, you've asked a lot of dumb questions. That's the stupidest one you've ever asked. And I just would marvel over how Chuck would take it, but apparently Chuck his background was in professional wrestling. And I wonder if there are any others that you could talk about that have been inspired that we know of, and maybe talk a little bit more about Ali. But thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank your son for being a fan, otherwise I wouldn't have a job. So, professional wrestling has inspired pretty much every aspect of every other form of entertainment that you watch today. What we endeavor to do is to try to sell you who the athletes are and why they're out there competing. In football, it's the exact same thing. They focus on the teams, but there's always what? There's always one key player, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, or hockey, that they focus on, and they create a rivalry with one other main player on the other team. Where do you think they got that? From us, from professional wrestling. And at the reason that, how can I explain this? Football, baseball, and basketball have enormous audiences in this country for one reason, because everyone's played them. Everyone has a physical relationship with what takes place on the field. You can relate to it. That's why hockey has a bigger audience in Canada than it does in the United States. That's why soccer is bigger all over the rest of the world than it was here for decades and now is growing. We have our own professional soccer team here now. Why? Because we've gotten more generations of children who have been playing soccer and now become fans because they can physically relate. Unfortunately for wrestling, you can't really physically relate to anything we do. It's not been many times you've probably been slammed or drop kicked or thrown into the ropes, and so out of necessity from the very beginning of the onset of professional wrestling, we learned to develop the ability to sell and market who the athletes were and the why, the intent behind what they were doing, and then every other form of sports entertainment copied it and have done so very well, and it's what's led to the success that you now see with large franchises like the NFL or Major League Baseball or basketball. If they were to solely focus on just the athleticism alone, it would not motivate you to watch it nearly as much as it does, because everything that's done in entertainment is to tell you a story, to get you involved and get you to want to live vicariously through somebody that's competing, so that when they win, you win. They lose, you lose, so you become emotionally invested. Therefore, you're now more willing to buy a ticket, see the event, buy the merchandise, do the licensing, the television rights, etc. And that all was born out of professional wrestling.
Hi, all. Thank you very much. Walt Kuno here. Could you talk a little bit about in one of the episodes, Matt Jones has an epileptic seizure, and what that was like when you were filming, and that was that was kind of scary to watch.
It was very scary. He's had a couple there at the arena where he's had a seizure. He comes out of them, says he's okay, but yeah, it was a bit shocking and left everyone a little bit shaken. But luckily he was all right. And, we made sure we got him to the hospital and had him checked out and everything like that. We had one who was even more severe. Back prior to our Christmas event, a guy came out and he was by where the entrance door was, and he had collapsed on the floor and was having another seizure. But we got him medical attention, and apparently he's had to deal with that his whole life. So,
Hey, I'm Corey Miller. It's funny, I'm from North Carolina, and I grew up with Georgia. Championship wrestling is the one that I would go to and be into. But it does make me think, I kind of had a period of time when I was into it, and I'm not so much into it anymore, but it's just amazing the longevity of this genre. I mean, do you have any thoughts? I know you talked about the physical storytelling and the entertainment, but how do you think it's lasted as long as it has?
I think because the reason that it's lasted as long as it has is that it's very unique in the world of entertainment. I would encourage all of you, if you've seen it on TV, I'm sure you would agree, there's nothing like going and seeing it live, because not only are you watching an athletic contest, you're also watching a soap opera, you're watching a theater play, you're watching a rock concert, you're watching fireworks, and the interplay between the audience and the performers is really, quite honestly, what makes it so unique. worked in acting and done films and other things of that nature, and it doesn't compare. In professional wrestling, I'm trying to connect with you and create between you and I a very singular moment that's only going to exist for that moment while you're there. Now we can record it and watch it back, but it's never the same experience. And everything I do, even if I tell a story on TV for months at a time, it's all just to build to anywhere from 3 to 30 seconds of a moment that we experience in a heightened emotional state that you never forget. So.
And what do you think is the future of wrestling?
Well, I'm not getting any younger, so I hope it keeps going. I think, it's WWE right now is continuing to grow at an unmatched pace, is just incredibly profitable. I think they've been on a 25 or 26 week run where their televised events have been sold out every single time, anywhere from 17 to 25,000 people. I know that they've made a deal with Netflix for, I think it's $5 billion, they had a $5 billion deal with Fox. I mean, it just, my only hope is that, I know WWE will continue to grow. I'm hoping that we will still have our place in a market share of that as well, and that we can continue to grow and succeed ourselves. Thank you.
Hi, Alice Bridges. Loved the show so much. It was
Well, thank
like
you.
my favorite from last year. It seems like I would like to hear you talk about the making of that show and if the tension between the suits and the wrestlers
that's real.
was real. Okay.
That's
So they
100%
didn't
real.
manufacture the heel.
We didn't manufacture anything. I know that that's pretty common, what they call scripted reality. I can assure you, whatever you saw, unfortunately, all of it was just us. Right down to Haley driving a car down I-64 at about 75 miles an hour, rolling a joint and texting all at the same time. So, the Greg Whiteley and his crew, who are so incredibly talented, they showed up at the last week of May, and they were there through August, and they would be there with us every single day, probably 12 to 14 hours a day, just to turn the cameras on, and I'd walk in the door, they'd come over, stick a mic on me, and I'd go about my business, and they'd just follow me around, and after a while, you really just forget they're there, and just, and then it's up to them to construct it and make it and tell some kind of a story for their audience, so.
Will you tell the group a little bit about the episode, the grudge match between Haley and her mom and the nails and tacks?
Oh, yeah, I'll explain. Because we can't just leave it at nails and tacks. There is a subgenre of professional wrestling. I'm not really a big fan of it. I find it distasteful. I don't think it takes a lot of talent to do it. They call it deathmatch wrestling. And it's basically stunt wrestling where they do crazy things. And then I know you're gonna look at me like you're out of your mind. But they'll throw each other through a pane of glass. They throw each other on lit tables, baseball, wiffle ball bats with tacks, and just things like ultra-violent, completely unnecessary stuff. So Maria partakes in that. She works for me as a producer, and her daughter Haley also wrestles. And she had mentioned this kind of stuff to Greg Whiteley, and he was very interested in filming this. And I was like, well, you know what, we'll do it here, because if we do it here, at least I can oversee it, I can produce it, and I can do it the right way, if there is a right way to do that. And I knew there's a personal angst between Haley and her mother, and I knew that I could bring that out. And my objective, like I had just mentioned, was not in an effort to have some kind of ultra-violent match, but more in when Haley went to leave after she had beaten her mother, watch her turn and go back to her mother and hug her, because I wanted to make all the audience in that building cry. And I did. That's another thing that separates professional wrestling from other forms of entertainment, acting. Wrestlers aren't actors. There's an aspect of the truth in every one of the lies that we tell. And if I can figure out that little bit of the truth, you will believe it even more and get more personally, emotionally invested. And then I'll be able to make you cry at the end. And that was the thing. The match itself was violent, but I had, constructed it in a way to where it was, you could see that Maria didn't want to take physical action until she was pushed back past a certain point, and then we got to where Haley beat Maria and then went to leave the ring and then turned and came back and hugged her, and the waterfalls started going, and I was like, yes! Made him cry.
That's a great segue to my next question. Real quick one. Season 2, I hear, is in the works.
It's still up. Netflix has the first right of refusal until the middle of September. So we're keeping our fingers, toes, and testicles crossed.
That's even a better way to go into this next one. Very quickly, I know what most of us think it's choreographed, staged, if you will, but there's tempers, there's testosterone, there's big guys with muscles, long days, long weeks, weekends. Sure. Tell a story maybe of hopefully not how you got hurt, but someone really got hurt because they were mad at them, they went off script.
Well, those things happen, and just to dispel this, it's never scripted. Never scripted. It's evolved into where talent will discuss what they want to do or pre-plan things prior to getting into the ring. And a lot of them, unfortunately, will adhere to that, what they come up with. But it's not scripted. You could go in the ring and not know anything. There were years when I first started, I had just met you as I walked in the ring, and then we had to create or make something on the fly. It's very much a interactive effort between you and the audience, and a lot of the performers these days have kind of lost some of that. There are situations, not as many anymore, but there were in the past where tempers would flare. You get a situation where somebody would not be willing to lose, or as crazy as this may sound, not willing to win. And they would get at odds, and then they would get physical in the ring. But not a lot of that happened too much out in front of the audience because we knew that it would affect and hurt the business, that then affected and hurt everyone that was involved in the business. And that was not something that an audience wanted to pay to see. So, but those do happen. Tempers flare, guys will get in fights backstage every once in a while. They happen. Even the girls. Haley got in a fight with Danny Moe one day, and there sometimes can be a lot of drama. I spend more time during the day babysitting the talent than I do pretty much anything else. So they are so neurotic. But it is not scripted. I mean, we think ahead, plan ahead, but think of it like taking a trip from here to Cincinnati, and you've gotten halfway up 71 and then the road's out. Well, you got to figure out a way to still get to Cincinnati, and that's pretty much what we do in the ring all the time. We have to think constantly on their feet, and regardless of whether you believe that professional wrestling is real or not, trust me, the only thing that's fake about professional wrestling is simply the intent. The intent to go out there to win and not lose. And when an audience buys a ticket, they want to believe in two things. They want to believe in who I am, and they want to believe in my intent and the consequence thereof. That's it. You don't want to believe in my moves, you want to believe in me. And if you can believe in me, you'll believe in anything I do, and you'll believe in anything I say. I've made a lot of money over the years convincing millions of people I could knock another human being out with a plastic head. Can't do it. It's not possible. Can't even knock a toddler out. All they do is they fall down, get up, and start crying, and then the parents are like, oh, we're gonna call the cops. And they're like, I probably should have left that one in the ring. Hi.
Hey, my name's Katie Jo Gleasing, and I am a huge fan. And
thank God.
I created a ton of my Barbie dolls growing up, so I really appreciate you being here in person.
Thank you.
So just wanted to know a couple
I really
things.
get around the Barbie dolls.
Do you still have head?
I do, yeah, I do. They normally would come with me. They're going to be mad when I get home because I didn't bring them to lunch. Yeah, but they were up late last night. They get a little cranky, so I was like, I don't want to bring them. Because then we stand here and all we do is argue the whole time. You know what I mean?
Well, and then what was your favorite plot as you were in the ring?
Favorite?
Favorite plot?
Gosh, they had me do a lot of ridiculous stuff. I did a eulogy. When I really think back now on the cost of television time on a national level, and they went, I walked in the building one day. At one point, they had taken the head from me, and so I was in San Diego, and I went to a swap meet, and I found a really tattered up deer head that had been mounted and stuff. And so I brought it into the arena, brought it into the arena, and I started carrying that with me to the ring and talking to it. And one of the other wrestlers, they had him destroy the deer head. And then I walked into the building one day, and the head writer comes up and he goes, "Hey, you're on the second hour of Raw tonight, and we need you to do a eulogy for the deer head." I go, "What?" So yeah. And that was it. So if you think it was scripted, you just good luck. Go out there and now do a eulogy for a deer head like I'm really burying it. But the angle with Pepper, where again the head writer was inspired by the Son of Sam movie, and where the Chihuahua spoke to him. And in my defense, I said, let's make sure we have trained animals, which I said on a weekly basis. Let's make sure we have trained animals. But a lot of great things happened out of that, because who can't relate? They had the bad guy kidnap my dog, and then this was based on a true story. I'm not proud of it, but one of the wrestlers, his name was Mr. Fuji, had a neighbor that had a dog that he didn't like the neighbor and didn't like the dog, and the dog went missing. The neighbor was distraught, and so Fuji invited him over to dinner and basically fed him his own dog. So that was what happened on TV with me. They stole my dog and then fed it to me. But I did get to, one of the head writers again came up and live TV. Wasn't live TV the first time. He's like, "Hey, we need you to make a Lost poster." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, like put on the pole, where you've lost your dog. I go, "Okay." So I was like, "Oh, well, the one thing that those will have, they have a phone number. Well, I'm not going to put mine on there." So I put another wrestler's phone number on there. And so it aired like on Sunday, this program aired on Sunday night, and we were in Philadelphia, and there were TVs in the back in the locker room. And the segment comes up, and I'm like, and I hid outside the door, and I hear his phone ring, and he's like, no, I think you got the wrong number. No, turns out his mom breeds dogs, so he thought that they called because they were trying to get hold of his mom. Well, the next night we were in Boston, and live television, and the head writer comes up and goes, "I need you to be back here, you're gonna do an interview, and you need to have the poster again." I go, "No problem." So this time, I told the cameraman, Bubba Dean, I go, "Every time I point at this phone number, I want you to zoom in." And so in 2 minutes, I pointed at that phone number at least 15 times. And then about 3 o'clock in the morning, I hear ring, and I'm like, "Hello, you SOB." He had gotten thousands of phone calls that night, throughout the entire night into the next day, and had to change his number because I basically made it available worldwide. So it was fun.
Thank you, Al. Very entertaining. My name is Tom Bogert, and I remember the first time, and I apologize, I've not seen your Netflix yet, so now I know I need to. But the very first time I went to a wrestling event was at the Armory with my Cub Scout troop. So we had a very enlightened group of leaders. And the last time I went was also at the Armory, and with 2 other guys. And my two friends and I happened to have our seats right next to two guys wearing Louisville Outlaws black jackets. So every time they stood up, we did too, so I promise that.
Wise decision.
Okay, my question here is, I'm bringing wrestling into moral philosophy. You've talked around it a little bit, but there's always the good guy and the bad guy. And the bad guy or the good guy seem to keep that role for a pretty long time. So how is that developed?
So all forms of storytelling operate on the same precepts, and that is that you need an antagonist, you need a protagonist, and then you need a context to create a challenge for the protagonist to try to achieve, to the antagonist to prevent it from happening, creating a want, a need, a desire to see that happen. And that, whether you write a stage play, you do a screenplay, you write a book, that always is the same. It's no different for us. So again, it's very important that we help you identify and believe in, most importantly, who that person is. And unfortunately for us, fortunately, because professional wrestlers are probably some of the most recognizable celebrities on the planet, because what you see on TV or see in the ring is 9 times, it used to be back in the day, it was what you saw in public as well. And the reason why was because it was just an aspect of their personality that they were able to turn up and capitalize on. And that's, to your question, that's why so many of them stay in that role or that persona for so long, is because it's natural for them, and it's a way to connect with an audience and motivate them to want to pay to see them and see the stories that are being told. So, thank you.
Very much appreciate you being here today. Very, very interesting. I'll let you go ahead and take your seat back, and don't run off from the facility. We'll have to take pictures after the meeting. So next week, we're going to be meeting here. It'll be August 1st. We're going to hear from Dave Christopher. He is the head of AMPT, and he's a fellow Rotarian. He's a very, very interesting guy. So you'll want to be here next week. You'll want to order your lunch before noon on Monday, July 29th, or Delene has put up on the screen a QR code if you'd rather go ahead and lock that in. Guests, I did see Craig Sherman at one point. There he is. Craig Sherman in the pink salmon-colored jacket. He will be in the What is Rotary table over here that I told you about in the corner. If you would spend just a few minutes at the end of the meeting, he'll let you know what's going on with our club. And with that, we are adjourned.